I spent 27 years thinking I understood what it meant to struggle. I ran a women in tech meetup. I fought for equality. I called myself an ally to everyone who needed support. But I was completely blind to the person suffering right in front of me, my own brother. My name is Olivia, and this is the story of how I learned that the people we claim to support the most are sometimes the ones we understand the least. This is about the moment I realized that empathy has blind spots, and mine was shaped exactly like my younger brother. I was the golden child. 27, successful career, active social life, running weekend meetups that actually mattered. Mom bragged about me to everyone, her coworkers, the neighbors, random people at the grocery store. My daughter Olivia is doing such amazing things. Matt was 25. 2 years younger, a software developer, quiet in a way that made people forget he was in the room. Mom never mentioned him unless it was to compare him unfavorably to me, or to nag him about why he wasn't more like other people. Like me. Dad's approach was even simpler, man up was his solution to everything. Matt looked sad? Man up. Matt struggled with something? Man up. It was like he had a soundboard with one button. I thought I was supportive. I really did. I'd tell Matt, just be yourself, with all the confidence of someone who'd never had to wonder if being yourself was the problem. I thought his struggles were self-created, that he was being dramatic. I mean, how hard could it be to be a guy anyway? Society literally built itself around them. Family dinners were always awkward, but I'd convinced myself that was just how our family was. I didn't see the pattern. I didn't see who the awkwardness was always aimed at. It was just another Sunday dinner. The usual tension in the air, everyone picking at their food, waiting for someone to break the silence. Mom started it, like she always did, so, Matt, when are you going to find a nice girl and settle down? Matt just stared at his plate like it held the secrets of the universe. The silence stretched. Mom looked at me, frustrated. Why can't you help your brother, Olivia? You're so outgoing. He should be more like you. I tried to make it light, deflect. Not everyone wants to be a social butterfly, Mom. Then Dad chimed in, boys don't get to choose. Nobody likes a weak man. Matt's face did this thing where he looked present but his eyes were somewhere else entirely. Checked out but still forced to be there. Even Grandma added her wisdom, in my day, boys chase the girls. That's how you get a wife. I sat there eating my potatoes, and it hit me for the first time, nobody was asking if Matt was happy. Nobody was asking what he wanted. They were only asking why he wasn't performing the role they'd assigned him. Later, I overheard Mom on the phone with her sister. Olivia's doing so well. Her job, her friends, everything. Matt? I don't know. He just sits at home. Can't he try harder? Something felt off in my chest, but I pushed it down. I told myself Matt just needed to get out more. That's all it was. Simple solution. I decided to ask Matt if the family pressure bothered him. He just shrugged. It's normal, I guess. You just need to get out more, that's all, I said, like I'd solved a complex equation. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Wish it was that easy. What do you actually mean? I pressed. He looked at me for a long moment. You ever walk into a room and feel like you don't exist? No, I said honestly. He nodded like he'd expected that answer. It's like you're a ghost, but everyone still blames you for haunting the place. I started to laugh awkwardly, but he kept going. When you're a quiet guy, people assume you're either creepy or boring. If I try, I'm desperate. If I don't try, I'm a loser. There's no win. I told him he was overthinking it. Looking back, I cringe at how dismissive I was. He just said quietly, that's the difference. You can afford to be wrong about this. The words hit different than I expected. I tried to shake them off, but they stuck. The next week, Matt came home late. I asked where he'd been. Therapy, he said. I nearly choked on my water. Matt? Therapy? He'd never talked about feelings, let alone gotten professional help. Why? I asked. He shrugged. Didn't really have anyone else to talk to. Feels like no one cares if you're a guy struggling. Can't tell if he's serious or just being mopey. I pressed him. Is it really that bad? He didn't answer, which was answer enough. I decided I needed to see this for myself. I told him I'd come to his next session. We showed up to his therapist's office the following week. She was this tired-looking woman in her 50s, with kind eyes that had clearly seen everything. She asked why I was there. I said I was just there for support. Matt sat across from her, fidgeting with his hands, staring at the floor. She asked him to describe his week. The routine he described was devastating in its monotony. Wake up, go to work, code all day, come home, eat alone, play games, sleep. Repeat. He mentioned he hadn't had a date in over 2 years. The only women who messaged him were bots or scams. The therapist nodded like this was something she heard constantly. That's unfortunately very common these days for young men. I jumped in. Aren't there more opportunities for men than ever? She sighed, and I could see years of similar conversations in that sigh. There's a silent epidemic for men your brother's age. Loneliness, lack of validation, never being chosen, always being blamed. Matt admitted he didn't even try anymore. Every attempt just ends in ghosting, being ignored, or worse, group chat humiliation. The therapist turned to me. When was the last time you were told you weren't good enough just for existing? I couldn't answer. The question itself felt foreign. Men are told to be silent and strong, but nobody ever checks if they're okay, she said. Matt looked at me then, didn't say a word. I couldn't look him in the eye. Something in my chest was cracking open, and I didn't like the feeling. I left the session feeling sick, like I'd seen something I could never unsee. Walking out of the therapist's office, I kept glancing at Matt. I wanted to ask 100 questions but didn't know where to start. He was looking at the pavement like it was more interesting than anything else on earth. You've never told me all that before, I said. Nobody ever asks, he replied. Gut punch. Direct hit. I tried to move past it. We grabbed food at a diner. The waitress came to take our order, all smiles. She came back twice to flirt with this tall guy at the next table, leaning over to touch his arm, laughing at his jokes. When Matt needed a drink refill, she barely looked at him, just topped off his glass while maintaining eye contact with the tall guy. The bill came. Matt tipped her 20%. Why? I asked. She basically ignored you. She's probably just tired, he said. I realized I would have left nothing, maybe even complained, if someone had treated me like that. But Matt just accepted it as normal. A couple days later, I stopped by Matt's office to grab lunch. He was in a meeting with coworkers. I sat in the back scrolling my phone, half listening. Matt gave a solid idea about their project. Explained it clearly, thoughtfully. Nobody reacted. Just polite nods, some note-taking. 10 minutes later, a louder guy repeated almost the exact same idea. Suddenly everyone was animated, nodding enthusiastically. That's a great direction. Perfect approach. Matt just sipped his coffee and kept typing. Like this was normal. After the meeting, a woman from another department asked Matt to fix her computer. He spent 5 minutes sorting it out. You're a lifesaver, she said, but she was looking past him at another guy walking by. It hit me, Matt was invisible even in places where he was competent, maybe even skilled. I decided to help. I was going to introduce Matt to my friend group, give him a real chance with women who knew him through me. Surely that would make a difference. I invited him to a party. He looked terrified but agreed. Party night. All my friends were there, mostly women, a couple of funny guys who played guitar and flirted with everyone. I introduced Matt, talked up his interests, gaming, movies, coding. My friends all said, "Oh, cool, then immediately pivoted back to their own dating drama. Matt spent the next hour in the kitchen, nursing a soda, checking his phone. Nobody asked him a single question about himself. One girl needed help with her car Bluetooth. Matt fixed it in 2 minutes. She thanked him and walked off to continue her conversation with someone else. Later, he helped someone with their Wi-Fi. Same result. I overheard my friends talking, "He's sweet, but just not boyfriend material, you know? Guys like that are backups, not actual dates." Another friend, "Olivia's brother is cute, but way too quiet. He's not even trying." I realized with horror that they literally only noticed him when they needed something fixed. He was tech support, not a person. The next day, I scrolled through Instagram stories. Everyone had posted photos from the party, selfies with the funny guys, with the guitarist, even with my roommate's dog. Matt wasn't in a single photo. He literally did not exist in their documented world. I asked him if he had fun. He smiled. "Thanks for trying, Liv." He never brought it up again. I wasn't ready to give up. I saw an ad for speed dating and convinced Matt to go. "Just be yourself," I said, with all the confidence of someone who'd never had being yourself fail them. "It'll be fun. Maybe you'll meet someone real." The event was at a big city bar, dim lighting, cheap perfume, spilled beer. Women arrived in groups, guys scattered and alone. I got attention just for showing up. Some guy bought me a drink before I even sat down. Meanwhile, Matt took his seat at table 4. I watched from across the room. The first woman glanced at him, checked her phone before he finished his first sentence. The second woman smiled politely, sipped her wine, eyes already scanning the room for someone more interesting. The third asked if he liked hiking. He said, "Not really." She said, "Oh," and went silent for the rest of their 5 minutes. I watched him force a smile each time the bell rang to switch partners. Watched him try to engage, to be interesting, to connect. And watched him fail every single time, not because he did anything wrong, but because he wasn't enough. He wasn't tall enough, loud enough, exciting enough. During the break, I overheard women chatting, "That guy in the blue shirt, he's okay, but more forgettable than anything." They were talking about Matt. Every guy getting phone numbers was loud, funny, a little cocky. Everyone else, including Matt, might as well have been furniture. At the end, I sat next to him. "How'd it go?" He shrugged. "Just feels like we're extras in someone else's movie." For the first time, I realized he wasn't exaggerating. I couldn't have handled being ignored like that all night. I would have broken down or gotten angry. But I still tried to rationalize it, maybe those women just weren't your type. He looked at me like he was tired of pretending. "You sound like Mom." I kept trying to fix things, to find explanations that didn't require admitting something fundamental was broken. At a grocery store, an older lady struggled to reach something on the top shelf. Matt grabbed it for her, handed it over with a smile. "Thanks," she said. Then her daughter appeared, saw the item in her mom's cart, and thanked the guy walking past us, a guy who hadn't helped at all. Matt just said, "No worries," and walked off. I stood there frozen. If that had been me, I would have corrected her immediately. But Matt didn't even flinch. This wasn't even about dating. This was just life. Driving home, Matt was quiet. Finally, he said, "You ever feel like you're just background noise?" "No," I said, but I didn't want to admit it was because I'd never had to be. Later that week, Mom sent Matt a text, "Why can't you be more like your sister?" He showed it to me, laughing. "It's fine. I'm used to it." For some reason, that destroyed me. I tried to imagine being told every day that I was failing just for existing. I realized I'd break within a week. I invited Matt's friends over for game night, wanting to understand them better. They were all nice, polite, kind of shy. They talked about video games, movies, gym routines. Not one tried to flirt with my friends. After they left, Tessa said, "Why are they all so boring now?" No fun banter. No confidence. Alicia added, it's like men forgot how to chase women. I almost defended them, then stopped. I realized they weren't boring. They were tired. Matt told me later, nobody wants to be the joke. It's easier not to try than to risk being laughed at. I thought about all the times I'd screenshot cringe DMs to share with my group chat, laughing at guys who tried too hard. I wondered if I'd ever done it to someone like Matt. Matt admitted he didn't use dating apps anymore. Why bother? I just get left on read or ghosted after one reply. My friends called that pathetic. Men are so weak now. I started to argue, then remembered the therapist's words, maybe you'd do the same if it happened to you. I asked Matt why he kept trying even when nothing worked out. He shrugged. Hope, I guess. Everyone tells you to try, but you get nothing back. Just easier to not bother after a while. Then he asked me something that's haunted me ever since, when's the last time you took a risk and got humiliated for it? I couldn't answer because I never had. Every risk I'd taken had been cushioned by support, by second chances, by people rooting for me. Weeks went by. Matt got quieter, spent more time alone. Family still nagged him. Friends still ignored him at parties. His dating life remained a desert. I started seeing memes about the man drought and population crisis. Everyone joked, men are going extinct. Good riddance. LMAO. I didn't laugh anymore. I tried to talk to my friends about it. Bree said, whatever. Men just need to step up. Alicia, once women are in charge, the world will be better anyway. Tessa looked at me seriously and said, you'd never survive as a man, Liv. We have it bad, but at least we get to be seen. I couldn't argue with that. Matt's therapist called, worried he was missing appointments and isolating himself. Mom said, boys don't need therapy. They just need to work harder. I snapped. That's not how it works, Mom. She looked shocked. Whose side are you on? I realized for the first time, I was on Matt's side. That night in the kitchen, Mom made tea and said, I think dating's a lot harder for guys now. She laughed. Please. Men have been chasing women forever. It's in their nature. Yeah, but now they're judged for even trying, I said. Mom shrugged. Only if they're not the right man. The right one never struggles. For a second, I almost believed her. It would be easier to believe Matt just wasn't trying hard enough, that he wasn't the right kind of man. That would mean the system wasn't broken, just him. But I couldn't make myself believe it anymore. That weekend, out with my girlfriends, the conversation turned to dating. Bree laughed about ghosting some guy after one date. I can tell in 10 seconds if a guy's worth my time. Tessa nodded. If he's quiet, he's either boring or creepy. No in between. They all laughed. I laughed too, but then thought about Matt sitting quietly at that party, fixing everyone's technology while being completely invisible. I realized they'd just described my brother without knowing it. I decided to ask Matt directly if he was okay. I'm fine, he said, but his voice cracked a little. I'm just tired, Liv. Doesn't feel like anyone's rooting for us. I hugged him for the first time since we were kids. Thanks, but you don't have to feel sorry for me, he said. I'm used to it. That made me feel even worse. A few days later, I heard him gaming with friends online, laughing through his headset. Then dead silence when they logged off. He just sat there in the dark. It's nice, you know, he said when he noticed me watching. Pretending you're wanted somewhere, even if it's just in a game. I had no idea what to say. That night, I couldn't sleep. I tried to imagine being a man for just 1 week. Getting ignored, mocked, told to man up, shamed for trying, invisible when vulnerable, disposable when not useful. I realized I'd break within days. I got up and wrote in my journal, if I had to live 1 month as a man, I'd rather die. I wasn't even being dramatic. It was just true. The next family dinner, Mom asked me for the first time, "So, Olivia, when are you settling down?" I said, "Maybe I'll just go solo for life. Seems easier." Matt smiled for the first time in months. I realized I'd had it easy my whole life. I wouldn't last a day as a man. Not even one. I'm proud of my brother now for surviving in a world that wants him invisible. Next time someone says men have it easy, I'll actually speak up. But here's what I'm still wrestling with. I look at Matt, getting quieter and more isolated every week. I see his friends doing the same. I hear women my age complaining there are no good men left. And I wonder if we created this. If books and articles and social media posts teaching women to demand perfection and accept nothing less have broken something fundamental. I don't have the answers. I just know that my brother is a good person suffering in plain sight, and for 27 years, I didn't see it. Maybe the revolution we need isn't about raising standards higher. Maybe it's about seeing the people already in front of us, and choosing connection over perfection. That's what I'm learning, anyway. What about you? Have you ever been blind to someone's struggle because it didn't look like your own? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe for more stories about the things we don't want to see.